Hello subscribers, welcome to the February Hoop Club box. So this is February 2024 and we are making this Goldwork brooch, which I am so excited about. This is just such a beautiful thing. This is the version that Hattie, our designer, stitched, and this is the one that I did. So mine's a little bit more clunky than Hattie's, but this might look really complicated, but this is totally achievable even for a beginner. There's just some slightly different techniques to working with the metal threads, so go slowly and I will take you through it step by step, but take your time and you can definitely master this. It is not beyond your capabilities. It's just so fun to do something so kind of unique and different. I mean, when you show your friends this, what you've done, I just think they're going to be blown away. Or if you gifted this to somebody and told them that you'd made it, then, oh my goodness, it's just amazing. So yes, this is Goldwork, which is the art of stitching with metal threads. There are different types of metal threads that just have different kind of qualities and you deal with them slightly differently. We'll be dealing with a couple of the two different types here, but we'll go through that in the tutorial and I'll just show you how to do it, but this is what we are making. I will now go through the box contents with you and just take you through that so that you know what everything is. So this is what you will receive and I will take you through it. So we have lots of different elements. You have a little organza bag to store your finished brooch in, and inside that, just to keep it from chipping, is your beeswax thread conditioner. So I'm going to show you how to use this later, but that is your thread conditioner. We have the hoop for you to put your felt into. You have your needle. This is a size 10 needle, so it's really small. Perfect for this kind of work. And you have all your different coloured threads that you're going to need. You have glue. This is going to more than you need, but hopefully you can just put a little peg on it and keep it for other projects. But glue to be putting the brooch back and the backing on the felt, your brooch back, your felt. We're going to use the red and the black in the project. Your pen to mark out your heart on the black felts. This is a great tool to have for embroiderers and makers. And then we have your instruction booklet, and so this is where the step-by-step instructions are, and there is an interview with Hattie in here as well, so you can find out a bit more about her, but all of your instructions are in here. And this brings me to the green and the pink envelopes. So in your pink envelope, you have your red rough pearl and your gold bright check. Now this is what goes on the inside of the heart. So this is the kind of more squishy, it's not stiff, it's more flexible. These are the two types of threads that go on the middle of the heart, so in two different ways. In the red, we kind of use it in long strips, and the gold, we chop it up into little bits and stitch it on like that. So we use it in two different ways, but that is what you'll find in your pink envelope. And then in your green envelope, you will find the stiffer threads, which are for edging the heart on both the red heart, so it's this edge bit here and this gold edge bit here. So that is what these two stiffer threads are for. And you will, this is like a coil, excuse my nails, I should have got them done for this tutorial, but this is like a coil, and to use it you pull it and just kind of separate the strands of the coil a bit, and then the way we use this is to stitch it like a couching stitch. You stitch it kind of to the felt, but I will show you that as we go along. But that is just so you know everything that is in your kit, which has been carefully packed over the past month here in the studio, and it's been a challenge because there are so many different parts, but we're so proud of this, that we've put this all together, and I just know you're going to love it. Before we get started, those of you that have been in Hoop Club since the beginning will know that you are our VIP customers here at Cotton Clara. So if you have any questions, if you run out of a certain bit of the box and you need some more, get in touch and we will send it to you. We want you to enjoy this project and to not feel stressed about running out of something or, you know, missing something. So do email us. We will send you out anything extra that you need. If you make a mistake or anything like that, there should be loads of materials here for you to use, and you shouldn't need to, but I just want you to know that you can do that. The other thing to say is please do join the private Facebook group, because we will just be sharing people will share how they're getting on with the project, I can share updates, and it's just a general place to kind of chat to everybody else who's subscribed to Hoop Club and is doing this project at the same time as you. So it's a nice place to be. The first thing we're going to do is thread our needle with some red cotton, and you're going to need about a 45 centimetre length of cotton. Any longer and you'll just get tangled up. Now we're going to condition it before we thread our needle. So this is our wax conditioner, and what you want to do is hold your thumb over your thread and just pull your thread through so that it's getting a nice coating of beeswax on it. And this is just going to make it easier to work with. This is something you do in Goldwork particularly, but you could do this in all of your stitching. It will mean you're less likely to get knots and get the thread tangled, and just make it a bit smoother to work with. I'm going to thread the needle. This is a little tricky one. We do sell these gorgeous needle minders actually. I think that would fit through. Not needle minders, needle threaders. Would that actually fit through? Sometimes the needle is even too small for a needle threader, and these are really tiny needles. I'm just even going to get a needle threader through that. But for bigger needles, these little needle threaders are very cute. Okay, now we're going to, you leave a tail of about 5 to 10 centimetres at the top, and then we tie a knot in the bottom. And I'm going to show you a little technique for starting off your Goldwork embroidery called a waist knot technique, and we will show you that in a minute. But just tie your knot. See, I do a couple of knots until they kind of land on top of each other. I like having a nice sturdy knot. So we have threaded our needle and we've conditioned our thread. So you're going to want to use this for each new length of thread that you put on your needle. Now we're going to cut out the heart and put our black felt in the hoop. So we'll cut the heart shape out of our black fabric first. You will need to cut out the template from this page. So now we're going to cut out a heart shape, and we'll draw around the template with our chalk pencil. That's quite a thick line. I'm actually going to cut around the inside of the white get an accurate sized heart. Just take your time, and as you can see, if you go wrong, you've got quite a lot of red felt to practice on if you don't like the shape of your heart. I'm really hoping you'll have enough materials left over to almost make two if you wanted to. You'd need to get another brooch back, but they are not hard to come by. So we've got our red heart, and now we're going to use our chalk pen again to mark out the black felt with the larger heart. So same as you did for the red heart. We have our heart shape. And now we're going to put that into our hoop. So put your smaller ring down first, and then just, you want that in the centre, but it doesn't need to be perfect. You need to unscrew the top bit and tighten that up as tight as you can, because the more taut this is, the easier it's going to be to work on. Now we're going to take the piece of red felt that we cut out, and that's going to go right in the middle of the black. And I'm going to use a pin to secure it. But you could use a tiny bit of the glue. If you don't have a pin, you could put a tiny, tiny bit of glue on. So that's secured, and I can now stitch it. The technique we describe in the instructions to start off your stitching is a waist knot. And the way this works is you've got your knot here, and instead of coming up through the bottom of the fabric like you normally would on a piece of embroidery work, you go down through the top, and the waist knot stays kind of anywhere here around the edge of your work and gets cut off when you cut out the shape for the brooch. And the stitches of the whole brooch and the stitches that we're going to do at the start will hold the thread in place, so this knot will get cut off. So you've got your knot in your thread, and you can start anywhere. We're going to start stitching around the edge of the heart to start with, so I'm just going to put it there, and that is called a waist knot. You can trim it down so it doesn't get in your way. That might be a little bit annoying. Then we're going to do a couple of tiny stab stitches, which are literally coming up and then down, right, almost 0.5 millimetre next to it, up and then down, and that is going to secure this thread in place. And now I'm going to stitch with little holding stitches on the edge of the heart to stitch the heart to the black felt. So come up through the edge of the felt, of the red felt, possibly not as close to the edge as that, because that's just, oh, that has caught. You want to make sure you're going to catch the fabric, and then we're just trying to secure it to the black thread. None of these stitches will show. You just want to secure your red felt to the black felt in a nice flat way. And we're going to even stitch right down the middle of it as well to make sure it's sitting nice and flat. I've stitched all the way around my heart, and now I'm going to go all the way down the middle, just with a line of stitches. going to secure my thread at the back. This is what it looks like. You can see where my waist knot starts over there. And so I'm going to secure it just by catching the back of the felt and then looping my needle through, tying a little knot there, and then I'll just do that again. It's a little bit tricky, but you could just tie a knot. You don't need to go through the fabric at the back. I just like doing it like that. Okay, so we're now going to stitch the outside of the red heart with red pearl. So we're going all edging around this smaller red heart, and your pearl is in your green envelope, and it's the red that we're going to use. Now this is a coiled metal thread, and to be able to affix it to the fabric you need to pull the coil so that it's slightly looser. So you'll just gently pull it so that you can see the lines, so that you can see space between the coils, and that's where your thread is going to go. We're going to use a couching stitch, which basically is just kind of a stitch that goes over at intervals and pulls the coil, the metal strip, close to the fabric, and that's how it keeps it there. I will show you how I'm going to do that, and how we're going to start is by stitching our first stitch in the middle of the heart there, and then we'll take it round and just keep gradually adding those stitches in. So you're going to need another length of red cotton, and then we're going to condition it with our thread conditioner. So again, you're laying your cotton onto the wax heart and then pressing down with your thumb and pulling it through so that it gets a nice coating. Of wax. And then thread your needle. And I'm going to use the waist knot technique again. So I'm going to go down the top of the fabric, and then I'm going to come up where I'm going to start my stitches, and I will do a couple of little stab stitches to hold that thread in place. And then we're going to take our pearl that we have stretched out slightly, and I'm going to start that. I'm just going to snip off the edge. And important to note, this is in the magazine, but you're going to want to use a pair of scissors that are maybe older, or that you're going to keep just for Goldwork, because you're cutting metal threads, it will blunt your scissors. So I'm just placing that down where I want to start. The first stitch is the hardest, and I'm going to bring my needle up. And then I'm just going to go down the other side of the wire. Right, I'm going to take my thread down, I'm going to pull it down, and you should hear a little pop. Yes, I hope you caught that on the microphone. When the thread goes in between the little coils, and then you just want to maybe go 3 coils along, a couple of millimeters, bring your needle up again. and then down. And so you're just securing it in the position that you want with your tiny little stitches that go over the coils. And so carry on like this, going around the edge of the heart. And you can feel the little pop. Oh, I can take my pin out now. That's in there. And as you get closer, you can probably cut this down to size to make it a bit easier, because this is going to get in the way. When you get to the bottom of the heart and you need to do a sharp corner, this is where we use our fingernail to make a little dent in that wire. I've just cut my nails, so I haven't got a sharp fingernail. But you're making a little dent where you want the corner to be. And then I am just going to trim my pearl so that it's not getting in the way. Slightly more than I think I need, just in case. To give you that little sharp point, sharp little bend in your pearl. And then I will carry on stitching it round. And when I get back to the top, I'm going to just do another securing stitch in that first bit that hasn't, because I didn't start right at the beginning. So I'm going to carry on doing this stitch to get this pearl in place. So I'm just doing my final stitch, or couple of stitches, to get this last bit of pearl secured, and I have cut it down to size so it should fit perfectly. Here in the pop, and then I'm just going to go and do another little one as well. I think in this case lots of little tiny stitches, taking your time and getting it really nicely secured down is the way to go. Look at that little pop. So I have done all of my little red edging. This gap here that you can see is going to be filled in by the rough pearl, which is going to go lengthways, so don't worry about any gaps. So now we're ready to do our vertical lines of rough pearl. Using more red thread for this part. This time we're going to do a double length of thread. I would use about 30 centimeters, double that up, so condition it. And then we don't leave a tail, we just tie both of the ends of the thread together. Probably how you were taught in school, if you were taught in school to do this. And we'll use the waist knot technique again. And we're going to start in the centre of the heart again. So I'm going to put my waist knot in, same place. I'm going to get rid of that because that's annoying. And then I'll do some stab stitches to secure it. Now, your rough pearl, which is what we're using for this, red rough pearl, is in your pink envelope, and this is the slightly more bendy, bouncy one, so it's not stiff. And this one we don't secure in the same way. This one it's a tube, and we're going to go through the tube and secure it to the fabric that way. And so the way we do it is take a length of the pearl, and you're going to measure out how much you need for your first run, top to bottom, and then dent it with your finger where you think you need to cut it. And that, can you see how that's dented? And so I know exactly where to cut. So I have my length of rough pearl, and I'm going to come up with my needle and then I'm going to thread the needle through the rough pearl, slide it down to the felt, and then secure it at the other end. And you will know if it's not sitting nicely. I think that's a little bit too long. You see how it's slightly raised up. It's meant to be a little bit raised, and the felt helps it to give it that padded effect, but you need to get it just the right length so that it hugs the felt. So I am going to cut that piece. I'm going to unthread it and cut that piece a tiny bit shorter. So this time it should be perfect. Yeah, that's sitting nicely on the felt. It's not too much, it's not too raised up, so I'm happy with that. So the next thing is to just then keep doing lines of this rough pearl next to each other. So I'm going to come up kind of here and fit one in right next to it. So I'm going to measure it and then I will attach it. So this is a lovely, long, mindful process of doing this, of measuring and securing, and you gradually just start to see this amazing effect come to light. Now, if you don't want to do it with your nail, you can mark it with scissors instead, if you think you can get more of an accurate. My nails aren't very long at the moment, so I'm going to mark it with the scissors. So I've got my mark. And you will get better at this as you go along. So I'm going to take my rough pearl, push the needle through, and come down right next to, you want them really snug next to each other, you don't want any gaps. Oh, and that is starting to look lovely. So I will keep doing that and I'll show you my progress. So the next one, I will be coming up here, just at the top there, and I'll do exactly the same thing until I've filled that whole side, and then I'll go through and fill this whole side as well.